Hey guys, doing a follow-up video here on this load trail we picked up at auction, this 20-foot deck over. We've tore into it a little bit and started inspecting and doing a little bit of work on it here. Probably title this video something like load fail or auction fail, and feel free to leave some comments down below of which one you think it is, or maybe it's both, but I'll go over a few things with you here that we found as we've tore into this thing. Like I said before, it was rusty. Paint's coming off in flakes. I mean, this sticker here and the paint's coming with it. I could just pull that whole thing off if I wanted to. I mean, down here, I mean, you can just pull up sheets of paint. So, I mean, rust and paint quality. I don't think I'm too fond of the paint quality of this thing, but maybe it was just overly abused. The big areas that I don't really like, we've torn into the brakes, because when we picked it up, the brakes didn't work. I had looked under the trailer, so I knew it had axles with brakes. You never know when you're getting something in auction what could happen. But I didn't crawl completely under it and do a real thorough inspection. Maybe that was my fault. Whoever had it before me had actually disconnected the brakes. They'd cut the wires. Not sure why. Not sure when it happened, but I'll show one thing up here up front too. I'm not sure when it was inspected, but it passed inspection. I don't know if it passed with or without brakes. And when they decided to cut them, I'm kind of surprised it passed with the rust holes in the back and the side marker lights being gone, but I haven't ever had a trailer get inspected, so I guess I don't know the full depths of what it takes to get one passed. But so with the trailer being rusty, of course the brakes are rusty and froze up. This one here actually moves pretty free. The magnets are shot though, the Dexter magnets. These are Dexter brakes, Dexter axle here. It's got some in and out play, so it needs a new bushing for sure. I can clean that one up and get that one to work pretty well. I'll grease. Let's see if I can get the light to work right here with me. Maybe it won't, but so these two little areas here where the pad, the brake shoes sort of wear and slide on the housing there. I'll grease that area up to keep that from rusting again and keep the pad or the shoes moving smoothly, and I think these will work out pretty well. I'm gonna have to order some parts, new bushing and some new magnets. The front is actually this is an Alco design here. The back is a 12¼ inch hub with the Dexter brakes. This is a 12-inch hub with the Alco brake shoe. The magnets are great on this one. They very strong magnets. The bushings are wore out in them though. It's got a lot of in and out play as well. New bushings for those. I think one of the Dexters needs a new hub seal too. The Dexters were actually running an oil bath. The Alcos up front are swapped over to grease. Not sure why that is. I mean, the axle looks like it came with the trailer. It looks to be similar age, similar rust. I'm not sure if this is a load trail deal or something the previous owner did, but so I wouldn't say that's a load trail problem necessarily. It could be a previous owner problem. The one thing I would say is a load trail problem, a load trail fail, is the way they secure these springs. As you can see, this bolt has just pretty well wiped out the holes in this thing. I think if I went to the other side, I could actually see the hole, which of course allows the springs to move higher. As you can see, it's actually damaged. Well, you might not be able to see depending on the light. The actual frame rail is bent because the axle's been hitting the bottom of the frame rail here, because this is, of course, is letting it travel a little more. And then the way they let this slipper spring stop This is a C channel that comes to us here. The bottom part of that C is gone, and a C channel over here. So the slipper spring just beats on the bottom of this C channel. It didn't put a plate in there or anything for it to ride on. So what that'll do on this front C channel is it'll flex it up like this, so it'll start a crack that'll run across, which, as you can see, is what happened. Get my light in here. So the crack ran across, and then you're still pushing on the bottom of this thing, so it goes, instead of twisting like this, it's more bending like this, and it cracked across that way finally. As you can see, now it's beating up the top, cracking across the top, and it's actually got a crack coming up from the corner there, coming across. So this is going to have to be repaired, and then of course that's going to put more bending in the spring here locally, and it ended up breaking the leaf on the bottom there. So for the actual load carrying part of the structure, I would say that is a load trail fail, because the other side looks the same as far as the setup. It's not as beat up. It's wore into the bottom of the C channel for sure, but it's not broke and cracked out like this side is. And it doesn't look like it's got really any cracks starting yet. And it may be just a weak spot in the C channel, but inherently that's just not a good design. There should be something that goes across here for the spring to actually rest on. Like I said, on this side here, you can actually see the hole is so wore out that it is allowing this axle to get up onto the main part of this beam, which is a tall I-beam trailer, but that's just still a poor design. There should be some sort of steel bushing in that thing, or thicker steel there to support this kind of loading, and a bolt as a pin is always a pretty poor option in my opinion. But reply in the comments, let me know what you guys think about this trailer. Like I said, I maybe didn't do my best due diligence at auction. That was another trailer I was actually sort of wanting. It definitely went higher than I wanted to pay for it, because it was a 2006. The exterior paint looked better, but no telling what the brakes condition were, or any of that stuff. This is that Dexter style magnet that's failed. It still has a little bit of magnetism to it when you put 12 volts to it, but it's pretty weak. It's not enough to grab anything and actually stop the trailer. So we'll replace those on the back. Both these Alco magnets seem to work great. Let's see, is there anything else I want to discuss with this thing? I think those are the main issues that we found with it. The brakes, the jack legs work pretty good. They've got some spare tire holder here that's pretty flimsy that somebody just cobbled on, and then some steel grating was in there that fell out. But that's sort of the deal when you go to auction. You're not going to get anything perfect for cheap, and if it's perfect, you're going to usually pay high dollar for it. That PGA that I was looking at, it went nearly $5,000. I think it was $4,500. By the time you pay the auction fee, which I think is another 5% or something, you're going to be up close to $5,000 with that thing. On a used trailer, you don't even really know the condition of. The tires weren't great. They were starting to show a little bit of faint dry cracking on them. So I mean, some people just get wrapped up in the auction, and they really want something, and they'll bid pretty high for it. I bid kind of higher than I wanted to on this trailer. I really didn't want to pay more than about $2,000 for this one. Really would have liked to have been in the $1,500 to $1,800 range. And I didn't get caught up. I just sort of ended up, it was one of the last things they auctioned off. So I sat there and waited most of the day for this silly thing. So I ended up going after it a little harder than I should. But where I'm at on it, I can power wash my power washer. I've got one of those with the sand attachments to it. knock most all this loose paint off, throw a coat of paint on it, and look sell at auctions. I could take this thing back up there and definitely get my money back out of it, if not make money on it. And that may be the plan down the road. I probably will try to throw a coat of implement paint on this thing. And then I'll probably start looking for a different trailer. Always on the look, always out for deals. I will try to use it as I'm trying to get an excavation business sort of up and going in my free time, which is very little, but but I do like to buy and sell equipment as well. So always out looking for something better. Really, the only thing I don't like about this trailer is it is a little bit tall of an I-beam, probably a little heavier than it needs to be for a 16,000 pound trailer. I will say I do like the brakes, the 8,000 pound axles. So when you go from 7,000 to 8,000 pound axles, you do get an upgraded brake on most axles, which is this 12-inch by, I think it's 3 3/8 maybe. 3 3/8 wide shoe versus the 7,000 pound axles, I believe, are a 12 or a 10-inch with a much narrower shoe. So the extra stopping is always a good thing. You definitely don't want to run into anybody. So that's the one plus that sort of helped push me into this trailer too, is the PJ was a true 7,000 pound axle trailer at 14,000 pound, or they might have rated at 15, accounting for some tongue weight there. This one's rated at 16 with 8,000 pound axles. So the bigger braking is definitely an advantage. I did test pull this with my truck, even without brakes, just down to the local gas station, which is really only about 5 blocks away. I'll have another video on that in the truck of what happened to the truck when I did that. But that's pretty well it for this video. I see I got the welder here, about to do some repairs on this. Maybe I'll do a third final sort of follow-up video once I get the brakes fixed and this repaired, and maybe even do a little detailed video on reassembling the brakes. That they come apart real easy. Basically just like a smaller trailer axle hub, just pull the cap off, castle nut, pop the hub off. We end up using a puller on these, just put a nut on the stud there, on the stud, 2 of the studs, and use a puller to help pull them over these these shoes are a little stiffer. They're a little harder to pull the hub off because the shoe's dragging a little bit. But other than that, it's just like a small one. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, like, maybe subscribe if you want to see more. There'll be more coming. Thank you.